It's everything I dreamed of.
I want to tell my dad that I love him.
I still don't know what just happened.
I'm just so grateful for the opportunity to play this game. A legacy is not what you give people, it's what you put inside people, and also what they put inside of me.
Hi everyone, welcome to Beyond the Locker Room with Maria Precajuice here, and today I'm super excited because Mark Rypien, Super Bowl MVP back in 1992 is on the podcast, but as we start each week, Trevor is here with T-Bone Steak.
Thank you, everybody. Good to be here. Good to see you, Maria. How are you?
Good to see you. Thanks for getting up every Wednesday. He actually even goes to the gym. We shoot this on Wednesday. We launch it on Thursday for all, what's up. And last week I had to do a little addendum to the podcast.
Yeah, I actually got up today at 3 o'clock in the morning and had to convince myself to go back to sleep. I was so excited to get here and do this.
Well, let's look back at week 9 first. Some of the games this season, they were talking about it today on the news, on the sports news this morning. This season is crazy. You don't know who's going to win and who's going to lose, and upsets galore.
I had some horrible picks this weekend, and I think the quote of the weekend was, any given Sunday, a team can beat any team. And I definitely believe that week 9 was that week.
Oh, yeah. Well, let's start, and we'll get to Aaron Rodgers in a minute, but let's start with the Chiefs over Green Bay without Aaron Rodgers. Not a big surprise. But
No. Oh, did you see where Jordan Love's mom and his girlfriend were sitting? They were in the absolute top row of the stadium. And I even saw that they were like, they had some conversation with some Chiefs fans. It's like, oh my God.
I wonder if they picked that. I'm assuming.
I don't know, but you'd think that like the other team has, I have friends that play professional sports and they get tickets for their family and they're definitely not that bad.
We like to call those the cheap seats or the nosebleed seats, but
that's like the no oxygen seats. That's not even a nosebleed.
But yeah, no surprise there. Now here's the surprise: Denver Broncos and Dallas Cowboys.
Yes, the only person in my little pool of picks on Grumpy's Sundays that got this one right was the Denver Broncos fan that I'm going to the game with. And I mean, what a dud. And so I have fantasy football, Zerline as a kicker. He didn't even kick a field goal. They went for 2 both times. And then like, oh my God, like what a boring game. And you said that Jerry's upset.
Oh yeah, he's like, we were flat, we were yeah, he is just, he never minces words.
I wonder if that comes back to rust on Dak Prescott's, after his calf injury, taking it off last week. It's almost like they should have stuck with Cooper Rush. I mean,
yeah.
It was so bad to watch. But also credit to the Denver D. They just absolutely smoked the offensive line. They were everywhere, and they played absolutely phenomenal. So, hands down, great job. I'll see you guys this weekend on Sunday. Please take it easy on the Eagles.
Well, your Eagles barely lost. I know it's still a loss.
Yes, it's a loss, but I will say the last 2 weeks, I think that Sirianni has taken a big couple steps in play calling and management of the game, I guess. Like he was throwing the ball 50 times with a quarterback that can't really throw the ball that well, I think. I mean, he's a great quarterback, but he's not like, Justin Herbert or whatever. But, so they're running the ball more, and if the defense could have come up with a stop, it would have been better, but they did not. But it's nice to see that they're taking a step in the right direction, and like I said, hopefully they can get the offense going against that Denver D because they look tough, man.
I'm so excited you're going to the game.
I know, it's my first game.
Take lots of pictures, lots of stories.
I think we're going to wear our ugly sweaters. I have an ugly Eagles sweater, and it's going to be like 50 degrees. He's got a Denver ugly sweater, which is going to be ugly.
Where are you guys sitting?
I think pretty close to the end zone.
Oh, there you go.
Lower bowl.
They're not cheap seats.
I know. He's a season ticket holder.
Oh, perfect. We
Yeah.
love that. The New York Giants, they are now 3-6. They beat the Raiders. The Raiders, talk about a season of ups and downs.
Yes, they're having a tough go, but they're still leading their division. And I think that Derek Carr is a great leader in the locker room. Despite all that's happened this year, he is still just, he's playing really well, and he's relying on Darren Waller and his offensive line. And I just think his attitude is kind of contagious in the locker room. Just, let's just go forward with what we got. And they're still, that was a tough loss, though, because the Giants aren't that good.
No, they're not.
No.
Sorry. Who else do you have with games? kind of the upsets besides, like I said, Jerry Jones just said they were overconfident.
I think, what about Atlanta beating the Saints?
Yeah.
That was pretty good because Matt Ryan, he played a really nice game. He had a rushing touchdown, 2 throwing touchdowns. I actually saw him beat Boise State when he played for Boston College. So we have a connection. I've seen him in real life. No big deal.
No big deal. Should we move on to the news?
Oh, wait.
Oh, wait, go ahead.
The Ravens and the Vikings.
Oh, yeah.
I think the Ravens were picked to win, but they had to come back, kick a field goal, go to overtime, and then they ended up winning in overtime. Kirk Cousins had the ball, and all they had to do was get a first down to get in field goal range, and they couldn't do that. And that pick, actually, I won. I got that pick. Yeah, it was you're staring at the TV, you're like, I can't believe I picked Baltimore. But then you're like, who would have picked, why would you ever think that they were going to lose to the Vikings? And then in overtime, Kirk Cousins blows it again. I thought he was more the guy that he's not very good on Monday nights. I think his record's like 1-9 or 0-9.
There's something about Monday nights. A lot of people crumble, and it's like it's another game. I thought they all were just, they're supposed to treat it all just like another game, but Monday night is special.
Yeah, well, not for him.
No, it's special
Anyway.
for some, but special in other ways.
But yes, I think the Baltimore game was a very good game, and they look good. The Ravens find a way. They play dirty football, and they win when it means, whatever, just anything goes. They get it. It's great.
Well, and let's transition into the topics because Pittsburgh and the Bears, I did not see the taunting call, the hip check.
Yeah, well, it's like he got the sack, and he did that spinning kick, which is pretty cool, I thought. I can't do that. That guy's like, 6'4", 280, 250, whatever. And, it comes back to the offense can do whatever they want when they score a touchdown, but, the guy gets a sack, and I think that's kind of the equivalent to scoring a touchdown for a defensive player. And then he runs off the field, and I want to say that ref stepped into him. From my perspective, I'm not going to, say the ref did it on purpose, but from personally me, and Marie and I watched the video a couple times before the podcast, and I think he kind of stepped into him, and then he threw the flag. It was like the weirdest thing I've ever seen. And not to mention, that was a 3rd and 8. That was 4th down. They were going to kick the ball and have a chance to tie, possibly win the game. I mean, this is, once again, taunting penalties. What are we doing here? Come on, refs.
Well, if you choreograph something, yes, I'm an ex-dancer, scary thought. But if you have something choreographed, it's okay. But if you accidentally hit, because I'm with you on that. I don't think he did it on purpose. He was just running off. He's a big guy.
Yeah, I don't know. It's just like, and the guy, if you guys know who Connor McDavid is, he's a hockey player. If Connor McDavid took steroids, that's what he would look like as a football player. It's crazy. I saw that on a thing last night. But, the guy looked so depressed in his press conference after, the linebacker. Yeah, and I think if they had Khalil Mack, they would have won the game too. But, the Steelers aren't very good because Roethlisberger's like 85 years old in football years for a quarterback.
I was going to say in football years. Watch the age thing, brother.
That's true. Well, I realized I'm getting old too because I woke up at 3 a.m. I was excited for the podcast, and then I was reading an article about draft picks for the Eagles, and I'm like, yeah, he has played pretty well. I'm like, wait. This is the first time you've ever said this. Why are you talking like this? And you're like, because you're getting old and you're getting knowledgeable, as I like to say. You're getting gray. Wisdom's coming out of your head. The gray hairs are showing.
And you're up at 3. That's what older people do now.
Mm-hmm.
You're up at 3 and 4, whether it's to use the facilities or not. Anyway,
yeah, right.
I digress. Let's get to what everyone's been talking about. And remember, we tape this section Wednesday morning. So as of now, Aaron Rodgers, say what you want. The Athletic reported that the Packers got fined $300,000. Aaron got fined $14,650, which is chump change to him for going to the Halloween party, because if you're unvaccinated, you're not supposed to be with more than 3 or 4 people. I think it's 3 people. So those fines, great. But, I'm just going to say immunized once and leave it at that.
Yeah, I think that his plan was just not to test positive so it wouldn't affect him. And when he tested positive, then that exposed his whole plan. So not great planning. And like, hey, if you do 500 pages of research, that's awesome. But there's still protocols, and all the other people that are unvaccinated are following those. So I just feel like that's just like, oh, wait. I mean, I love Aaron Rodgers. I think he's an amazing quarterback. And I just thought that this was a little a mishandle in judgment, and we'll leave it at that. And he did come out and say some things like, I know I'm a role model, and I thought that was good. Maybe his girlfriend or his fiance told him that, because she's probably taking some flack too. But, all in all, he's just trying to, keep himself healthy. I'm going to respect his opinion. I have my own, and that's that. So thank you.
Well, I just want to say we're both vaccinated, or we would not be sitting this close.
Yes, that is very true too.
And we'll just leave it at that. We'll get back into him when we do our picks, because they're up against the Seahawks. But
that is true. Like, only $14,000. That is nothing. And I feel like the Packers just didn't even want to go there because of all the thing, like the summer drama. They're like, all right, this guy just like, we didn't tread lightly. Tread lightly.
Well, and State Farm Insurance actually did, I can't remember the perfect statement. They're keeping him on. He lost a couple, or he lost one.
his one health pharma, I think.
Yeah, and so State Farm, I was reading it to John the other night, and he's like, that is one of the best quotes ever. I go, well, that's what they get paid for. They hire nice, good people. But good for Pat McAfee show. He got a few more viewers because that's all Aaron Rodgers spoke to.
He's a good. I like Pat McAfee. He's good.
He's funny. Odell Beckham Jr., as of right now, he got released from waivers. He is a free agent. Where do you think he's going to go? I mean, he kind of has his pick.
He does. I really wish, like waiver wire works is like the worst team gets the first pick at him. And then I like how the Browns attached that I think it was 7.5 million, maybe 7.25, but they attached it to him to make him look less attractive to teams because the way he left. And I almost want him to go to the Packers because I feel like him and Aaron Rodgers would get along.
I do too.
But, I mean, he's a great receiver. His production was not as good as it was in New York as it was in Cleveland. He was a top 5 receiver in yards and targets in New York. And now it's just he like fell off the map. But, of course, he had an ACL injury, and he's got a bad attitude.
Yeah, he's an interesting character, but I know a lot of teams want him. This morning on Get Up, one of the guys was like, if you're Bill Belichick, what'd that conversation be like? And the guy was like, well, Odell, yeah. And I was like, is that really how Bill talks to people?
Bill Belichick he's a guy I could see, he takes players that have troubled histories and he makes them work. And I think Big Bill Belichick would probably be the best fit for, like, as a coach, keeping the reins and the players accountable. We have the same birthday. No big deal. Belichick, love you. Not really. But anyway, yeah, I think that he would do really well. And, and the Patriots, the Packers as well. The Packers they could use an extra receiver. They have, what's his name? Devontae Adams is their number 1. And then you have Odell Beckham. You're like, what?
Well, and there was a little talk he maybe wants to go to Seattle, but we'll see. And
actually, that's a good point. Our boyfriend Pete Carroll, he also takes troubled receivers and troubled football players, and he makes them work. Sorry for not recognizing that, Pete. I am so sorry. It won't happen again.
What else do you have in your newsworthy notes? Because those were the top 2 stories of the week.
You've got that one, too, about Wilson. We'll get to that in a second. I already mentioned that Rodgers said he knows he's a role model. This is good. What was it? Deshaun Jackson went to the Raiders. He got released from the Rams, and I think that he'll make a good addition there because they're not doing too well in receiver. He's actually like 5 touchdowns behind Jerry Rice for the record for touchdowns over 50 yards. You didn't know that, did you?
I did not know that.
I know.
That's why I have you on. Hello, I'm no dummy. I put people on that are smarter than me.
I saw that one the other day. I was like, yeah. I'm gonna just highlight that one.
Well, and one other breaking news, not so breaking, Panthers quarterback Sam Sam
Darnold.
Shoulder likely missed several weeks, the report said. So you never want.
You know what?
your
He
QB
started out so well in Carolina, and everybody's like, "Oh, see, it's the Jets. They just ruined people." And then he just kind of dropped off, and now he's got hurt. It's too bad. Their defense is really good, so hopefully whoever they throw in there can get it going, especially with Christian McCaffrey making a return. Hopefully that they can get that offense rolling, because I'll tell you what, when you got Christian McCaffrey in an offense, it is so exciting to watch. Plus the defense has to account for his, when he's out there. So, it opens up the field wide open anyway. Nice.
Oh, that's all right. Stratton's here. We're almost done, Strat. Stratton's showing up to work.
Oh, you got Russell Wilson.
Yeah. Well, let's talk about Russell Wilson. He is back. And Aaron Rodgers, he's going to come back on Saturday, protocol, if he tests negative and all that stuff. So it's kind of like the two quarterbacks that are back. And the big talk is, can Aaron Rodgers, after having COVID, even though he had all the stuff, can he just walk on the field Saturday and then play Sunday and do well? I say yes.
I think he can. That's like taking a week off for a guy like that,
And Russell Wilson's
it may
back.
take maybe it'll take 2 sets of downs for him to shake off the rust, for not practicing. But a guy like that, he just gets so dialed in. The confidence that he walks with and his face portrays, you're just like, whoa, dude, this guy's hot, man.
Especially this year with his long hair. And,
Yeah.
But Russell Wilson, Seahawks are only 3-5, Packers 7-2 due to the loss last week without Rodgers. I love my Sea Chickens, love my Seahawks, but I'm not sure they're going to have it.
He's going to have to
hate
shake
to-
off some rust, because, he's been doing, we talked about, I think it was last week, how he does those gameplay, real reps, and he simulates a game, and it's just he hasn't been throwing a football, though,
Yeah.
So that's, it's like, oh, I've been practicing drawing, just not with a pen or a pencil. It's like, what? That doesn't even make sense, man. So I think that the hand specialist said he's good to go. So if the specialist says you're good to go,
Yeah.
or the pen or the pencil, and you're ready to go. Just do it. So listen to the specialist.
I picked a couple more. LA Rams were at San Francisco. I'm going with the Rams because they have a better record. That's it. Just going there.
Well, Von Miller gets to play this week too.
Yeah.
He didn't even play this week, and we didn't even talk about they got smoked.
I know.
I woke up, I fell asleep early because I'm old, and I woke up and it was the third quarter and it was 20-3, and I was like, God dang it. What is going on with my fantasy football team? Just brutal.
I do not play fantasy football. I get it, but
Next
that's just too
year
much stress.
Next year we'll get a little team going for you.
Perfect.
Maybe we'll have Grumpy's Fantasy League.
Why not? Pete would. And we are obviously coming at you from Grumpy's. And then Kansas City versus the Raiders, 5-3 and 5-4.
This is a big division game too, right?
Yes.
I'm going to go upset city, Las Vegas Raiders.
I'm going to go KC because although they've been talking as the offense really, obviously with a record of 5-4, they're not super great this year. Let's just put it that way.
I don't know. Patrick Mahomes just doesn't look like Patrick Mahomes.
He doesn't.
And there's our Chiefs fan, Daner, right there. He'll tell you what's wrong with Daner.
I'm picking the Chiefs.
I went with the Raiders. And I think that they paid Patrick Mahomes a bunch of money, and now he's got a kid, and he's struggling at home with family life, and that's got to be it. He's a dad, and next year he'll be back, but this year, no.
All right, anything else on your list before we get to Mark Rypien, which was a great Zoom call?
I would like to say, what is going on with Cincinnati? They played so well for the last couple weeks, and then they just dropped off, and they're just getting smoked. So if maybe they should go practice with the Bearcats, because the Bearcats are undefeated, and they should do that.
They're pretty up there. I can't remember what the poll just came out for college football.
Yeah, I saw that. We were doing NFL. I was like, we don't listen to that stuff. And I would just like to say that was great form on the I play some hockey, and the great form on the hip check from the ref. Kind of like, I was standing there first, and he ran into me. Not. Anyway, I think that's all I got here. Okay. Oh, wait, Devontae Smith had his biggest day as the Eagles wide receiver coming into this weekend. I'm very happy about that. I didn't play him on fantasy. I know you guys don't care. You're like, this guy's team must just suck. Anyway, Devontae Smith, great to see you taking strides. You won the Heisman last year, and I can't wait to see you as an Eagle for life. Thank you.
There you go. Well, I can't wait to hear all your stories. Have fun at the game. Travel safe. I'm going to keep Trevor around right after this Mark Rypien interview from Maria's Minute. We have one more thing to talk about, which is kind of funny. All right, Mark Rypien up now, and more with Beyond the Locker Room with Maria. I love it. Well, we'll dive right into it. I want to welcome to the program Mark Rypien, not only Super Bowl MVP and winner of Super Bowl 26, but also a good friend of our family, which I love. My brother was my first two guests on the podcast and vlog. And he's like, yeah, the Polish Greek mafia.
Wouldn't that be a beautiful, just that visual kind of gets me like, that'd be interesting. I think Pete and I could run that pretty well.
I think you guys could. So let's start. I didn't realize all these years, excuse me, knowing your family, that you were born in Calgary.
Yes. Yep.
A Canadian.
Yes, I'm still have my Canadian citizenship. And one of these days I'm going to actually do the reading and get all the diverse information that I need to get my U.S. citizenship. So I'll have dual citizenship. And, I don't know if having a Canadian citizenship has helped me in any way, but it does bring me back to my roots where a lot of my relatives are still in Canada. So it's kind of a fun little piece of trivia.
I know. I was like, well, I mean, Wikipedia, you usually can sometimes trust that page, but I didn't. I was like, Pete, I didn't know that. So what made your family move to Spokane?
Well, I think one of the things, my mom and dad both were born and raised in small coal mining towns. And my mom was raised in Natal, British Columbia, which is now called Sparwood. And my dad was raised in Coleman, Alberta, and they're small coal mining towns. And I think when they moved to Calgary and had 3 of the 5 siblings, and then the last year we were in Canada, we moved to Edmonton and had my brother Dave, and then moved down. And the only American citizen is my sister Shannon. She was born in Spokane. So I think they just want a better life. My mom's mom was living in Spokane, and my mom came down here to go to nursing school and ended up being an X-ray tech for Holy Family till her passing for, I want to say, almost 40 years. It was a pretty good career there, and just amazing lady. As your mom and dad were amazing people, and we just loved them. And so my dad and mom just wanted to get us a new start and kind of see what it's like down here in the U.S.
I love it. And your parents, they were not, I mean, both sets of our parents and the whole Shadle Park, tribe, they were all just so great.
Amazing people. We miss them every day, obviously. And we do the best we can to honor them and in our lives. And in fact, interesting, I had my 40th high school reunion Sunday or Saturday night before I left to come to out here to Orlando to see my grandkids and my daughter. And we had it at Scott Pool's restaurant in Spokane, and saw some old faces, and it was really cool to kind of reminisce the old days.
I love it. Well, and of course, I always say, people, the only name dropping I know is really you. And I was like, they're like, you don't know Mark Rypien. I go, yes, I do. I was like his little sister. And it was hilarious.
you and Penny were great. Pete, it's another story. Now, Pete was beautiful, and we have so many memories and so many great years there at Shadle Park, and still haven't been able to get down to Grumpy's and visit him down there, but I'm going to make that a priority this year.
I know. I put on his shirt. Where's the logo? There it is.
There you go. All right.
I don't pay for him, so I better promote him. So let's talk your start in football. How old were you? And were you on the Eagles, or was that another squad?
I was on the Chiefs. It was my first year, and that was 7th grade. And Joe Everson and Dick Schomburg were our coaches. And Joe went on to coach baseball and do many great things in Spokane, and just kind of a guy that I looked up to. But yeah, I mean, when I'm 7 years old, I'm putting on a football uniform, and I played in the lightweight division then. They had weight divisions. If you're under 115 pounds, I think you played in the lightweight division. So, and then over 115 pounds, you played the heavyweight division. So my 7th grade year, I played in the lightweight division, and then I played for the Eagles in the heavyweight division the following season.
So did your dad just go? I mean, he was larger than life. He was the best. So was mine, but he was your dad. Did he just go, you need to play football, or how'd you get into it?
No, I was just kind of one of the things our parents did, back then is, hey, whether just get out and be outdoors, find something to do. And my dad, ever since I was like 2 years old, had a baseball mitt in my hand. He played, and he actually went to Seattle University to play a year there. He was going to go to school there, got homesick and came back home. But he was a baseball player. He was a hockey player. Hockey we tried when we were young, but ice time was, as you know, and your family knows, with Pete playing all those years, and it was expensive, and ice time was like 5 a.m. And so with three boys, it was difficult, and we didn't have the finances to do it. So we kind of stuck with baseball, because all you had to do was put a baseball mitt on. The only thing you had to buy was as a family was a shirt. You actually wore jeans when you played Little League baseball. It's kind of funny. Now they have the full uniforms and everything looks pretty cool. But so baseball was kind of my start. And then as I got a little bit older, I started playing, in grade school basketball and flag football. And we'll get into that later. But flag football was kind of my introduction to football. And it was kind of fun. Trying to think of my teacher, Mr. Cal Davis was my 6th grade flag football coach. And he was a great guy, and just kind of introduced me. My dad didn't know much about football other than the Canadian football, which uses 12 players in a field that is longer than a rugby field. So yeah, that was kind of my introduction, and started playing junior football at a young age. And from there, that's where it kind of took off.
Well, and then you did go to Shadle with brother Pete. And what was it like? Pete said you guys basically had 2 running plays because you were the quarterback.
Well, that's the funny thing about Pete is I look this pretty because of Pete, and protecting me and making me look this good over the years. I was fortunate to have guys like Pete and Scott Poole and Neil Knipe and Vince Kopech and Rob Smith-Peter. I mean, just Jay Hines. I mean, go back all through the roster of all my offensive linemen. And I always keep telling everyone, even the NFL, some guys don't think that's true, but you're only as good as the guys up front, and if they're no good on both sides of the football, I mean, as a running back, as a quarterback, as a wide receiver, you're not going to get much done if your offensive line isn't good, and defensive backs and safeties and linebackers aren't going to be as successful if the guys up front, the defensive linemen, aren't as good. So I always say your point in contention in football is you're only as good as the guys on each side of the football up front. And we were pretty fortunate to have some very good ones, and your brother being one of them.
I know. Well, for those out there who are listening or watching, there's Pete, and then there's Scott Poole in size.
And there's a quarterback that's bigger than the offensive lineman. Yeah. I don't know if I outweighed Pete, but I know that I was probably a couple inches taller than Pete was. Let's put it that way.
Yeah, a few. So we were talking about your coach in high school, Coach Haney, and you guys won the Greater Spokane League. And I don't know if Shadle had ever won it before you guys.
Well, I'll not for a long, long time,
yeah,
or maybe ever. I don't know. But I will say this, that it fit perfectly for what we did, because we had some very good skill athletes. We had Kent Schaefer, Steve Rector, Todd Toro, Greg Sorenzi, wide receiver. We had my brother Timmy, Scott Burkhart, Dan Fuller, running backs. And so we had a very good group of skill guys, along with some offensive linemen that were athletic. And so one of the things we did is we worked in the summertime on the passing game a little bit more than the running game. And so when the 1979 season came around, which is a graduating class of 1980, my junior year, the school went on strike. And I don't know if you remember that and recall that, but we played 5 games in a 2-week period. Can you imagine that now in the concussion day era, playing 5 games in a 2-week period? There'd be lawsuits all over the country. But we did, because we had to fit it in and get all the games in. And it worked to our advantage because of our ability to do some things that you didn't really have to practice the physical part of it during the week. So we could kind of get away with it. And lo and behold, we beat a real good Central Valley team, a Gonzaga prep team we hadn't beaten, I don't know, ever. And so we kind of had a niche there that really propelled us to some great things and some great guys and great memories that I look back on the photos and I think to myself, oh my goodness, not only were they great people and great characters, but good football players too.
Well, and it's amazing because your class, especially, and all those guys that you mentioned, you keep in contact. And I was like, I am bad. I mean, I see a few people from high school, but so it was a special team. I remember when you won it, we were all crying. It was very cool. So, and then you got a scholarship to go to Washington State University. I'm a UW Husky, but that's okay.
Go Cougs. Our volleyball team just beat you guys. You guys were ranked number 6 in the country, and our Go Coug gals. Coach Greeny, good job.
Well, we always like to say, my dad had tickets to both Huskies and Cougar football and Seahawks, and he would root for the Cougars every time they played, except when they played the Huskies. I don't think it's quite the same for you Cougars, but that's for a whole other story. That's a whole other time. But
I got a lot of good friends. You being one of them that's a Husky, or else I wouldn't be on the program.
I know.
I'm not one of them,
I go, who can I call? And Pete's like, Rypien. I go, oh yeah. Good thing my brother's phone book is very deep.
Yes.
So you played for Washington State. You did amazing things there. Talk about the, college football and what you liked about it and what you took away.
Well, I mean, I still aspired to be, and I have to preface this because when I was playing junior football and ninth grade football and high school football, I hated the physical aspect of it. I hated tackling anyone. Of course, you had to get in drills where you had to tackle and show that you knew what you're doing so you wouldn't get injured, and all that. So I hated that. And I was always cringed. But I loved the physical part of it, throwing the ball and the mental part of it, the X's and O's and all that stuff. And it was kind of like a chess match, football was. But I wanted to be a basketball player. I wanted to be a baseball player, follow my brother's footsteps. Both my brothers played in the Canadian national team, and my brother Dave played in the Seoul, Korea in the Olympics in 1988 for the Canadian national team. So I aspired to be that baseball player. I wanted to play baseball, but when you can't hit or throw a curveball, your days are numbered. And when you're a 6'4", slow, not very tall white kid that can't jump, basketball was not my forte either. So I felt at that point in time that maybe I'll give football a shot. I'm starting to like it a little bit more. My junior and senior year, we had some success, and me personally had some success. And I said, well, let's see if we can further my academic program or my academics and use football as a tool to leverage that.
Well, I have to say, college game day, every Saturday, there's a Cougar flag. And it is amazing. Your fan base, and you played, in the stadium in Pullman.
Yes.
That it was loud. It was cold a lot of times. I'd be sitting in the bus or the car.
Yeah.
Going, it's
the wind blows down there in the Palouse, and that's why we always would say this teams like from Arizona and USC and UCLA, they would get on the bus in Spokane, they'd be driving, they go, where in the heck are we going? The wheat fields. It definitely is a destination school. Unlike I think UW is a great school, but it's more of a school where you don't have to commute very far. But a lot of people are right there in the area, whereas you get WSU is like a destination school, and you got to travel there, and it's away from mom and dad. You feel like you're away from mom and dad, even though they're right around the corner watching your every step. So
that's true. And then let's go into, obviously you played for now the Washington football team.
Yes.
With all that's going on. I get that.
You could call us, we were the Washington Redskins, and we weren't the Washington football team. I got drafted by the Washington Redskins. That's, you have to be PC these days, but politically correct and history shows that I played for the Washington Redskins. So yep. It is what it is. And unfortunately, and I have, I'll just quickly go into that. I just wish that when the name change, when it happened and they said, hey, we're going to be called the Washington football team, I wish it was done by having Native American leaders at the table and them being the ones leading it and saying, hey, I think this is something that we're, definitely feel is a derogatory name. I wish that was the case, but unfortunately, Marie, that was not the case. It was based on business, it was based on politics, and it was based on businesses losing money because some people thought it was a derogatory, not the Native American leaders. Now, if the Native American leaders would have came in and said, yes, we need to change it, absolutely 100%. And I think everyone would agree with that, but that wasn't what happened. But they are the Washington football team. I was drafted there in the 6th round. It was the the toughest day of my life was draft day because, you predicted maybe you might go in the second round. So I'm waiting. Finally, I just took a nap and went to bed. And about 5 o'clock, I got a call from Joe Gibbs, who's really excited, and about this time I'm about as excited as a fart in a spacesuit, I just not that excited at all. I go, hello. He goes, hey, Coach Gibbs here. Hey, Mark, we're looking forward to you coming on here. I go, oh, okay, thanks. He goes, I'm going to put you on with our quarterback coach, Jerry Rome. And we're really excited to see you in a couple of weeks. And Jerry gets on there. And I was very, very kind of down in the dumps, because he get drafted in the 6th round. But it turned out to be a great situation. I got a chance to learn under Coach Gibbs, and Doug Williams was my mentors, was Jay Schrader, in the early couple of years. And then I got my chance, and lo and behold, we ended up doing some really good things, and very fortunate to be part of that community in Washington, D.C., and still got a lot of friends, still got a lot of acquaintances there that I go back and do some charitable work and still have contacts with. So.
Well, and back then there wasn't all the television coverage. I'm sure a lot of people now are like, he took a nap. The TV cameras were on him. No, back then it was not.
No. We had 3 stations in Spokane basically, and they were there early in the morning in case something happened in the draft, and they could catch a glimpse of you. But after about 4 hours, the draft went on all day, and so I got up at 6 in the morning. About 5, 6 o'clock at night, I got the call, and I had to take a nap. I was tired.
5 a.m.'s, it's early.
Yes.
So talk about playing in the Super Bowl, winning the Super Bowl, and becoming the MVP. I mean, huge. I know you have your ring on for me. Thank you. It's sparkling bright.
Take a look, everyone. Yep. That was, this is a lot of great memories here. I just think about this ring. I think about those 53 guys, that went out there and practiced and sweated with for numerous years prior to that, and the losses. Fortunately for us, the bar was very high. We'd won 2 Super Bowls previous to that one. The one thing that people don't know is that both those Super Bowls were both in work stoppage years. There was a strike in '87 that they actually had. They called scab players, but replacement players that came in and played across the picket line and played, and they won us some games in Washington and got us in a good position so that we could win a Super Bowl with Doug Williams being the MVP, and the first African-American be MVP of a Super Bowl was a great part of history, and to be there and watch Doug and to see him, and again, him being a mentor of mine was pretty incredible. And then Joe Theismann and John Riggins won one in like 1983, I think. And so, the bar was very high and the expectations were high. And so if you didn't get into the playoffs and deep into the playoffs and maybe even win a Super Bowl, it was kind of like people were disappointed in Washington. Now, gosh, if you make it to the playoffs, they throw parades, the way things have gone for the last 30 years. So it was a very high bar, and I had a lot of great players and fortunate to play with a lot of great guys, great coaching staff. And, just to do what we did that year, conceivably we could have won all the games. We lost one game to Dallas by like 3 points at home, and another one to Philadelphia on the road by 2. And we ended up going 17-2 that year, and capped it off in Minneapolis, Minnesota, and in a cold atmosphere. But of course, we were indoors playing in the Metrodome. But my family loved it because we're all from the north, and so it was like kind of like for them, it was like, oh, cool, this is home, And so we ended up having a great week there in Minneapolis, capping it off by beating the Bills 37-24 in Super Bowl 26 on January 26, 1992.
I love it. And then you get named. What's it like on the field? You win, and then you get named MVP. That's a bit. It's huge.
Yeah, I wish I had my oldest daughter there, Amber, who lives in Baltimore and just had their first child, Merrick. Her and her husband, John, had their first son, Merrick Elaine, which is cool because Merrick, their daughter's name is, John is from Merrick, New York. And so they named their daughter Merrick, and Elaine, A-L-E-N-E, because Amber lived in Post Falls, Coeur d'Alene area. So they made her middle name Elaine. So Merrick Elaine Devotee, and she's doing great. And so Amber was there, and Angela, I'm visiting her and her 2 my 2 grandkids, her son and daughter. She was too young, so she didn't get to come down the field. But Amber's like, I think 3 or 4 years old. So I hoisted her on my shoulders and yelled out those infamous lines that I had to practice. Mark Rypien, what are you doing after the Super Bowl? We're going to Disney World. We're going to Disneyland, So that was pretty cool. And sure enough, we did. We got a chance to go to Disney World and not Disneyland, but Disney World in Orlando, right here where I'm at right now. And had a parade down Main Street, USA. And it was pretty cool. And they announced, hey, on the, our host or whatever of the parade is Super Bowl MVP Mark Rypien. And, going some of the perks you get, you saw, wait, that's my buddy Rip. He's on David Letterman. So some of the cool perks you get, Marie, that's it's kind of nice.
So what was it like being on Letterman? I tell you, because everyone's like, Maria, you don't know him. I go, I do. We were watching it, of course.
Yeah. Well, it was surreal. First, winning the game, and I just, like I say, I think of those guys, and being a quarterback, you're one of the probably 6 or 7 guys in each side of each team that has a chance, because you got to be probably a skill player, running back, or wide receiver, quarterback, defensive back, lineman, defensive lineman. You do make 3 or 4 sacks. There haven't been many, but I think Richard Dent was one of them that was an MVP. And, I think a couple corners have been MVPs, mostly the quarterbacks, running backs, and wide receivers have been MVPs at Super Bowl. So I, at least had a chance knowing that going in, and then to get on we get a call, hey, you're coming on David Letterman. I was on my Amber and I were on Good Morning America for the NFC to go to the Super Bowl after he beat the Detroit Lions for the NFC Championship game. We went on Good Morning America, and she was going to sing the fight song, Hail to the Redskins fight song, on there, and she just wouldn't wake up. And she was I brought her on. It's my daughter Amber, and all of a sudden the lights came on. She starts singing the song right there on Good Morning America. So some of the little perks that you get, and then being with David Letterman and being back there, I almost had to pinch myself and go, I'm going on David Letterman. This is great. I was nervous, but he was great. And, I look back on that and just think, wow, that's pretty amazing times.
Very amazing times. And I'm going to keep you around. We're going to talk a little bit next week. I'm going to keep you for 2 shows because I like to use and abuse the people I love.
Absolutely. You should.
So we will be back next week with more with Mark Rypien, and we're going to talk a little bit about concussion protocol, what your body went through when you played, and of course, your fabulous foundation. So join us next week on Beyond the Locker Room with Maria with more with Mark Rypien. All right, what a great interview with Mark Rypien, part 2 next week. Now it's time for Maria's Minute, where I get to talk about whatever I want, but I kept T-Bone, a.k.a. Trevor, around.
And Sid the Sloth, the power animal.
We love Sid. So I was watching ESPN, NFL, the pre-show, and they talked about, what do you listen to when you work out? You always have music on.
I listen to, Akon, because...
I don't even know who that is.
Oh, we have the same birthday too. I listen to Akon. It's like club music, kind of. He's very sensitive to my needs while being, he's got a great beat too.
Well, you kill it at the gym. I don't go as early as Trevor because I am older. But anyway, there was probably a 4-minute deal. I'll put the link below on YouTube. All the football players, Phil Collins, In the Air Tonight. Ba-bum, ba-dum, ba-dum,
really?
Ba-dum, bum.
And
you have to watch it. It's
I was
hilarious.
embarrassed to say that I listened to Akon at the gym, and these guys are listening to Phil Collins. That's awesome.
No, that is it. And my whole point, my glass is always half full, but it's like whatever gets you going.
Doesn't Mike Tyson listen to Phil Collins when in The Hangover when he punches one of those guys?
I can't remember. Maybe.
Yeah, he does.
So, yeah, I mean, at Christmas, I listen to a lot of Christmas music.
Did you like Harry Connick Jr., like Christmas album?
Nah, I like the Mariah Carey one that some bar banned that from playing.
Mariah Carey's got the most beautiful voice ever. I mean, Whitney Houston, all right, God rest your soul. She was very awesome, too. That reminds me of my mom, Whitney Houston, and Phil Collins. 90s.
90.
Yes.
Well, yeah, and it's coming back. Some kids, who were in college just last year, the rookies, they didn't even know about him. But yeah, that is the song they get ready to. So in conclusion,
you could ask them what a Walkman was too. They'd be like, what?
I know. I did one Maria's Minute on Be Kind Rewind. Yeah, the VHS. So we're taking you back again. But my whole point is whatever you listen to, whether you're working out or just to relax, take a breath, listen to whatever Once in a while, it's Barry Manilow for me.
I
God
think I
help
could
me.
do like Phil Collins at a good like stretch and rolling session.
Yeah.
I don't think I could do it like in the middle of a deadlift or something.
Well, no, in the middle of the game, you'll hear these guys singing the song out on the field. I'm like, what? So you have to watch it. Kudos to Sam Ponder and the crew for doing that story. It's hilarious. And we will see you next week on Beyond the Locker Room with Maria. Thanks, Trev, for always giving me everything I need here on the podcast.
Thank you for the cold brew, too.